You have every right to that, just like I have every right to my opinion, okay? But the thing is, coming up through the indies does not guarantee you success. Success in the indies does not guarantee you success in the WWE, including Daniel Bryan. There are exactly 2 guys that have ever come out of the indies and made it to the very top of the card and stayed there. And there have been plenty of guys. There've been plenty of guys come from the indies and fail. Okay, but there are just a small, select few who have ever come from the indies and made it work at Vince's level.
You're going to get a lot of hate mail, you know that?
That's fine, but you know what? I'm also right. You don't have to like what I'm saying. You just got to know it, okay?
And I wonder why. This is the thing. It's so hard to talk about indie wrestlers coming into the company because you have this certain amount of marks who get so uber sensitive. And let me tell you something. Here's a prime example. You know Davey Richards, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing against Davey. I like Davey. But if they were to sign him today, Armada, what is he going to be in the company? Because he kicks. CM Punk does it. We have guys that do submissions. We have guys that are intense. He's just going to be one of those guys that are just literally just there.
Right. And listen, some of it's opportunity. Some of it's just, like I said, just hitting Vince the right way. You know, he almost dumped Chris Jericho once because he didn't like him very much.
Yeah.
And Jericho just barely held on to his career. Some of it's in WWF, and eventually found a way to get Vince to like him. And I don't, you go back and you read Jericho's book. Jericho talks about what he did, but he doesn't explain exactly why it eventually worked on Vince. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't know that there is a formula for impressing Vince McMahon. I don't know that there is a formula. I think he just has to feel it about you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who think that's a bullshit way to evaluate talent, and for those of you who think that that's just wrong because your guy's not getting it done that way, I'll remind you that Vince McMahon took a regional promotion, turned it into a global juggernaut that is literally $1 billion a year industry now because of him. So you can say what you want about his ability to evaluate talent just because your guy's not getting it done with him, but I'd say he's done something right in the last 35 years. He's gotten it right somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do whatever it takes, and I don't know what it takes, I'm not sure the guys who do it know what it takes, but if you can't do whatever it takes to earn his confidence, you're not going to make it in this business. That's it. I'm sure Claudio Castagnoli is a great wrestler somewhere else. I'm sure he's a great character elsewhere when he's given the right opportunity to shine. But the fact is he's not going to be the man in this business because there's too many guys to go through to get there. And whatever it takes to impress Vince, he's failed to do it. Remember when Drew McIntyre was anointed the next chosen one by Mr. McMahon?
Yeah.
Now he's in this 3MB gimmick, which is basically 3 jobbers that nobody gives a shit about. And they're only in this gimmick together because what the fuck else are we going to do with them?
And apparently they're no longer together. Because Heath Slater's gone by a one-man band or something.
Or whatever, and honestly, who cares? So, Drew McIntyre was once anointed the next chosen one of Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't get it done. I mean, listen, I don't know what it takes to impress the man. I don't. If he had impressed even Triple H, then Vince McMahon might have been convinced. Triple H isn't impressed with the guy. Stephanie's not fighting for him. Antonio Cesaro is a mid-carder, folks. And if he ever wants to be the man again, he's going to have to go back to ROH because he's not going to get it done at this level. That's it. I said the same thing about Chris Masters 7 or 8 years ago, and I got absolutely cursed out, shit on by callers, emailers, people. I got shit on like I've never been shit on before when I said that about Chris Masters 7
and look
or 8
at him
years
now.
ago.
He's on the
what's he doing now?
He's on the Independence, and he's doing way better.
Okay.
And some guys, I think fans forget that it's some guys that they be on the Independence for so long that they're so used to having that fanfare on the Independence. And some of them don't have a way to do character development or anything or have something that will gravitate Vince McMahon or anybody in the office to push for them. So they get stuck in that same old boat or everything. And that's when you see them sitting around, and then they finally get released and go back to independence. And when they go back to independence, they're twice as big as they were when they got signed, because some of them work better on the independents. And maybe it's the same thing with Antonio Cesaro. He's, he does so much better on independence, and now it's just some fans are going to say, well, he's not getting the chance or whatever. Well, he's had a chance. He was the United States champion for like months. And what did he really do that's really put anyone to say, you know what, I really need to pay attention to this guy? Nothing really. Now he's just yodeling.
Right. And when he lost the title, everybody got all pissed off about it, and they're like, oh, you're just shitting on him, blah, 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 whatever. Everybody got pissed off at first, and then after that, they started trying to find the silver lining in that cloud. The whole, oh, well, now he's dropped that shitty title. Now he can really take off and do something. But the thing is, he won. Do you remember how he won the U.S. title in the first place?
Not exactly, because it's been so long.
It was on a YouTube pre-show, and I don't even remember which. It might have been SummerSlam last year.
Was it? It wasn't. I don't want to say it was SummerSlam. I want to say, yeah, Seth Draken said it was SummerSlam.
All right, we're getting in trouble talking about Antonio Cesaro.
The Swiss have called.
Yeah, so let's just wrap this topic up by saying this: the guy won his title at a Raw or at a pay-per-view pre-show on YouTube. I believe it was SummerSlam, and I think Seth Draken's backing us up on that. So.
Mm-hmm.
But then he carries the belt for 7 or 8 months. He's the most tenured champion in WWE. And nothing remarkable happens at all during this run. Nothing. Now, you can say, all right, well, that was the Booker's fault, blah, blah, whatever. I don't care whose fault it was. Fact is, he carried the U.S. title. Nothing remarkable happened. He jobbed to everybody who was important. He beat the people that weren't important. But then he jobbed to all the upper carders along the way. And honestly, you can say what you want, and maybe you don't like it, but it is true, in my opinion. I think the best he can hope for, and the best you fans of Antonio Cesaro can hope for, is that he's going to be another one of those utility guys. Maybe somewhere down the road, if his ego doesn't mind this and his ego doesn't get in the way, he'll have a job in his company about as long as he wants to, because Vince isn't cutting people lately. I don't know that they've done a massive round of cuts in the last couple of years. Simply because you've got all this programming you have to fill, and you need warm bodies for that. You know what this reminds me of? These people that get pissed off and their favorite pet wrestler doesn't make it in the big leagues. What this reminds me of is all these parents that take their little Johnny or little Susie down to the softball or the baseball park, and they put, the pads on him, and they hand him a bat, and they put the little black marks under his eyes, and they put him in the batter's box, and he gets a 60-mile-an-hour pitch from some little league fastball specialist that just undresses him. Everybody looks at their kid and they think that he or she is the greatest thing ever. Or the little girl, mama gets her all dressed up, does her makeup, teases her hair just right, shoves her in every pageant available, and she never wins. And they think that the pageant is fucked up because they don't see her little girl what she sees in her little girl, okay? Mm-hmm. Every parent thinks their kid is the best at whatever it is they want their kid to do. Every indie wrestler thinks their pet wrestler is going to go to WWE and just fucking conquer the pit. But the bottom line is, and I'm just going to say this, and you can shit on me in email, you can shit on me in the chat room, you can say whatever you want to me. I don't care. Because the magic is, Stevie J gave me a microphone and he let me use my voice, and he's told me to say whatever the hell I want to say, so I'm going to say it, okay? The bottom line is, 99 times out of 100, the two notable exceptions, so 98 times out of 100, the two notable exceptions being Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, okay? 98 times out of 100, your little pet indie wrestler that you think is just going to show up in WWE and blow the world away is not as good as you think he is. Bottom line. I went to a minor league baseball game with my son last week. It was a double-A baseball game. And I watched all these guys who are trying to make it in baseball. Trying to make it. Guy hits a ball to shortstop. It's a three-hopper. Shortstop picks the ball up, turns around, fires the ball to first base, and he two-hopped it to first base. And the guy sitting next to me who follows minor league baseball like it's his religion said, yep, he's got a double-A arm. He's not going to make it in the major leagues. Folks, Antonio Cesaro as a wrestler as a double A arm.